Hello again, friends. I'm Todd Aaron Smith. Welcome. I'm going to sketch something that may be a bit more complicated than some of our other sketches, but I'd like to show you that you can do it. I've mentioned before how people will often tell me that they can't even draw a straight line. Well, this sketch has some important straight lines, but there is a way to work around that and still make your sketch look good. Today I'll be sketching a ship leaving port and setting out to sea. This will be a good exercise in drawing straight lines, the sky, water, and even people. Let me show you. So first I want to determine where the horizon line is. We will mostly not see the horizon line, but knowing where it is gives me a good idea of how to draw things in perspective, meaning things that are closer to us and things that are further away in the picture. A ship is not an organic shape. It's not like a tree or a cloud or a mountain. It has a man-made structure and lots of straight lines and very perfect, nice curved lines. And I've never been good at drawing straight lines, but I don't have to be. Most of what I draw isn't made out of straight lines anyway. I draw baseball cards for a big baseball card company, and on those cards I draw portraits of baseball players. It is very rare when I'm drawing those to have a straight line on any of those drawings, and the only time that I can think of where there might be straight lines at all is when I draw different team logos on the uniforms or on their hats. Many of those have straight lines as a part of the logo design, but even with that, the logos are very small on the drawings, so I can handle small straight lines like that. In this case, though, we are drawing a ship that goes most of the way across the page, so it's huge in our drawing. So those lines are much more prominent and important, and as you can see, I'm just drawing very lightly. So lightly, in fact, that I hope that this sketch is showing up on camera as I'm drawing it. I'm using a Mephisto pencil, lead holder, mechanical pencil, whatever you want to call that. This one is made by Koh-I-Noor, and I like to tell anyone who will listen to me that it is clearly the best pencil I have ever held. I didn't know a pencil could be quite as great as this, but somebody gave me one a while back, and after that, well, I don't want to use another one. And I've even paid that forward by giving a few of them away to some of my artist friends and telling them to just give it a try. That's what I say to them, just try it. And I always hear back from them that they just love the pencil and they wish that they had known about it a long time ago. And I like to be able to say, I told you so with those. So I'm telling you the same thing that I tell my other artist friends. Just try it. See how it feels in your hand when you draw with it, and let me know what you think. Shoot me an email and let me know if that isn't the greatest pencil you've ever used. I'm easy to find, easy to get a hold of. My email address is at my website, toddaaronsmith.com. Look me up and let me know what you think so that I can also say to you, I told you so. As I'm working on this drawing, I think I'll make a couple of birds here that are going to be flying over the water, and we'll do some fun things with the water in this sketch. I'll show you a couple of different fun ways of how to do that. But I'm making my initial sketch here just very loose, very much freehand, of course, and just sketching where things seem to, where I think they ought to be. I'm drawing a bird flying up in the air now. We'll get back to all of these things and refine them as we go. These would be the smokestacks. And of course, here again, I'm not drawing any straight lines. I'm just kind of scribbling in where I think things, oh, there was a bad, that wasn't anywhere near a straight line. But as I refine this more and more, I'll show you how we can do this. This new pencil that I'm going to go ahead and start using here is called Toison, and it's from Koh-I-Noor. It is a terrific pencil to use. It gives me a nice, soft, dark line as I'm drawing, and it feels really good in my hand as well. Just love the feeling of putting down the pencil marks with this one. And again, I'm just kind of going over the things that I already drew with the Mephisto pencil and refining them as I go, shading in some things, figuring out where I want shadows and highlights to be, and where some of the details of this drawing ought to be. We have two figures in the foreground here waving goodbye to the ship, and of course those are going to need to be darker than anything else in the picture and probably have more details on them than any of the rest in the picture. But that's just how I prefer to sketch. I love to just draw freehand. That's what's fun for me. I love the feeling of being free and loose and just drawing whatever comes to mind. And I hardly ever have a straight edge. And now by straight edge, I probably should tell you what I mean by that. I mean a ruler or the edge of a book or some other thing that has a straight edge to it so that you can draw perfectly straight lines. If I wanted to draw technical things and make houses and buildings or whatever, maybe I would want a ruler to draw my straight lines with, but I just like the feeling of drawing freehand. If you need a straight line to make a part of a drawing look just right, then certainly go ahead and use it as much as you want. But for me, I just like drawing freehand, and I'll show you again as we go here how I'm going to make some of those terribly crooked lines that I've already drawn on here, how I'm going to make them look better as we go. So we're refining all of these lines as we go. I used to say I was correcting the lines as I go, but I'm not sure correcting is the best way to say that, because saying that I'm correcting them indicates that I've messed them up and made a mistake in the first place, and I don't really mean that, because I don't think any of them are mistakes. I'm just refining it and making it look better as I go. I'm just coloring in, filling in some of this space here with dark pencil. This Toison Dior pencil does a great job of that. So I'm just going to very loosely, see how scribbly that is? My hand is going 100 miles an hour as I'm drawing that, and I'm just making it very sketchy looking, and I'll fix that later. But for now, I just want to darken in some of this stuff, and I don't know what's up here on the bow of the ship, but I'm just going to make some shapes up here. Maybe they're windows, maybe there's piles of stuff sitting around on the deck. I don't know what it is, but I'm just kind of sketching it in as I go, and we'll see where we get with it. I'll refine it more and more. Maybe these are some windows up here towards the top where the captain is in the ship. I don't know that much about ships, so I don't know actually where captains would be. I think they would be up high like this. But it doesn't really matter. I'm just having fun and making this thing look how I feel like it ought to look, and just scribbling in some details. By the way, these little details that I'm making here are actually going to help me with these straight lines. You know, since I told you I'm not very good at drawing straight lines, all these little details that I'm putting in are going to kind of give the illusion that there are straight lines. The illusion is kind of a funny thing. It's not really there, but it kind of gives the impression that it is. These smokestacks that are on the top of the ship are mostly straight lines, but mine aren't going to be very straight because, again, I'm just having fun with it and doing it very quickly and sketchy. That's the fun of doing all of this stuff. I've been sketching almost every day of my life, and I grew up in a small town where I was drawing all the time, and as I did that more and more, my sketches naturally got better and better. You know, if you do anything every day, you're going to get better and better at it, and that's what I do. I just do it all the time and figure out details, and, you know, if it doesn't work for one drawing, then I remember that, and when I'm drawing another drawing, I am able to make it a little bit better because I remember what didn't work in the last drawing. So as we go here, I'm just laying down some shapes and some lines and thinking about this stuff that's detailed. This is the dock. I guess it's made of wood, so I'm going to make these wood beams that go across that you would walk on. Have to have something for these two people to be standing on, I guess. Hey, let's fill in this water. Let's start to do that. The water, I'm going to do it a couple of different ways, and I'll show you as we go here. But the first thing I want to do is just to very quickly sketch in some dark shade, kind of medium dark shade here. It's not going to be quite as dark as the ship itself. You can see where I did all that sketching on the ship, and I'm going to work on that in a little bit too. But for right now, I want to work on this water, and I'm just making a kind of a medium line sketchiness all over it to kind of shade it in and fill it in. Trying not to go directly over those birds that I drew, but if I get it over them a little bit, that's okay. I'm going to fix them coming up anyway. Now this is just a regular napkin. As you can see, I've used it many, many times because there's marks all over it from what I'm about to show you here, but I make it a point of it around my finger, and then I just blend that same pencil that I just put down. I just literally rub in circles over the pencil. It blends it. This pencil that I'm using, the Toison is just a perfect pencil for that, and the sketch pad that I'm using here is also perfect for that. The quality of the pages here, and plus that pencil, blends super well. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just blending. And it's not going to be perfect either. I'm not making a solid tone all the way across the page. There are little splotchy parts on here that you can see that are, some of them are darker and some of them are lighter. And that's okay too, or we're going to fix this up a little bit and make it better as we go. I'm going to use this third pencil now, and this will be the last one that I use in this drawing. It's a woodless graphite pencil, and it's a very heavy, dark line. I love drawing with this pencil. It makes just a super nice drawing. I don't have to push very hard on this pencil to make that darkness. And what I'm doing here with it is I'm just making some areas of the water that are going to be darker, and some of them are going to be lighter. I'm going to blend this in just a minute and show you how that's going to look. But over the tone that I've already made on this water, and certainly I'm not going over all of that. I'm only making some other sketchy lines, and there's lots of places where I didn't draw. You can see the first thing coming through. This is the same napkin that I used before. I just move it to a different place where it's a clean spot on the napkin, wrap it around my finger again, and just blend these parts that I've just put down one more time. And I don't have to be very careful about doing this stuff because I'm going to change it a couple of times as we go through here. And I'll make darker and lighter places and just blend. This is how we're making the water. You know what? I'm going to go ahead on the side of the ship here and do that too. And it's not going to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. But it's going to look nice. So I'm blending all that pencil that I put down there with that Toison pencil. Again, it blends really, really nicely. And so I'm able to get a pretty nice tone. You can still see the pencil marks where I kind of laid it down quickly, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. Let's see. You know what? Let's do the sky. I'm going to make some kind of random shapes up here, holding the woodless graphite kind of on the side this way. And I'm just going to put down a tone in different places in the sky. I'm not going to cover the entire sky. Certainly, you can do that if you want to. You can make the whole sky a different tone. But for this drawing, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and make parts of the sky. Now here's that same napkin again that I've already used twice, and I'm going to use it one more time to do this sky and just blend that out. I don't even have to push on this very hard. It blends really nicely and easily. And I don't need, again, to make just a solid tone there. You can still see my sketch marks, my pencil marks, where they're a little bit darker within this tone, and that's okay. It's completely okay. This is a sketch after all, and it ought to look like a sketch. So there you go. That's what the sky is going to look like. You know what? Let's get in here and do a couple of more details on the ship, blending those just a bit. Yeah, and I'm going to go back to this bird that I had drawn in. I guess he's a seagull. And I'll just throw in some shadow on him. There we go. And you know, I'm just making this up. I don't have a picture of this anywhere. I'm just throwing in the shadows where they look like they ought to be and making him look like a bird as much as I can in flight. And as I go around the ship here, I'm just making that up as well. I think it ought to be probably darker, so I'm going to darken him up. And again, these figures that are in the foreground, I want them to be really dark because they're closer to us than anything else in the picture. So I'd like for them to be darker than anything else and have more detail so that they end up making the drawing have kind of a 3D effect. You can see things in the middle ground, in the background, and in the foreground, and that's what I'm trying to do here. You know, I was talking about how I've drawn every day of my life, really. And by the time I was in high school, I really thought I was the greatest artist in the entire world because my stuff looked better than anybody else's that I knew. So I just thought I was the greatest artist in the entire world. I didn't have much to compare myself to. We used to have an art show that happened in my high school every year. And I remember the other kids would have a piece or two of art in that show, but I had an entire table laid out, and I had a full wall of stuff with my drawings stuck all over this wall. And, you know, I had probably more drawings in this art show than all of the rest of the drawings combined. I really had a ton of stuff in these all the time. And so I thought I was a pretty good artist. And after high school, I went to one of the best art and design colleges in the country. And the very first thing that I learned when I got to art school was also the best thing that I learned, and I'm going to share that with you. In fact, I think I'll tell you the best thing that I learned in art school and the worst thing. I had to pay a lot of money for college, but I'm going to tell you those two things totally for free. And so first I'm going to tell you the best thing. I went into the big city from a small town where I thought I was the best artist in the world, and I quickly saw that I am not the best artist in the world. There were many, many, many students who were far better artists than I was. And there were certainly some who were not quite as good, some that I don't even know exactly what they were doing there. But there were definitely many better artists than I was. They could draw better, they could paint better, they could make better sculptures. They could do everything better. So it became very obvious right away that I was not the greatest artist in the entire world. Hey, let me show you something. This is my kneaded eraser here. Let me stop my story to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to take this kneaded eraser and I'm going to pick up some of the pencil that I've already put down in my drawing. I'm making highlights on the water is what this actually is, and I do that with this kneaded eraser. That's spelled K-N-E-A-D-E-D, kneaded eraser, because you can squeeze it and stretch it, and you actually knead it like dough. So you can squeeze it and then make a point on the end of the eraser and make it a nice sharp point, and then continue erasing. Then when you've picked up a bunch of the pencil off of the paper, your eraser is dirty, and then you kind of squish it and form it again. So there I've made some highlights in my water. I'll continue to work on those a little bit as we go, but you know what? I think I'll make a couple of little tiny windows here on the side of the ship, and I'll kind of highlight those by making a couple of shadows under them coming up in a minute. But first I'm just making some more of these highlights in the water, and there should be shadows and highlights as we go. There I've just squeezed the kneaded eraser again so I could make a sharp point on the edge, and bringing out some of the little waves in the water. Well, anyway, I was saying that I found out immediately in art school that I was not the greatest artist in the world, and that was a good thing. But you know what? I don't draw because I'm the best, because I'm not the best. I draw because I love to draw. And that is my advice to you. Draw if you love to draw. If it's a constant source of frustration, put it aside and do some other thing that you love. Sketching is a great hobby. It can be relaxing, it can be fun, it can provide a sense of accomplishment, it can lead to discovery, it can be really a source of great joy. So like me, you probably are not the greatest artist in the world, but you don't have to be. And that's what I learned in art school. That's the best thing I learned in art school, is that I'm not the best artist in the world, but I don't have to be. So now I'm going to tell you the worst thing about art college. You know, art school is just about like any other thing. You can get a lot out of it, or you can get almost nothing at all out of it. If you'd like to learn and get better at what you do, you can apply yourself and take full advantage of the knowledge and experience that other artists around you have, or you can just goof around all the time and not do anything, not learn anything at all. Well, when I was in school, I took advantage of the resources available to me. In fact, I even attended a bunch of classes that I wasn't even signed up for. I went to many, many, many figure drawing classes that were not my classes. I would just show up with my sketchbook and ask the instructor if it would be okay if I sat in to draw. And as long as there were empty seats in that room, they always welcomed me to do that. So I did many hours of figure drawing classes that I wasn't even in. I learned a lot about drawing and all kinds of other forms of art while I was in art school. But one thing that I never learned is what to do with it after that. You know what I mean? So I'm a good artist. Now what? Well, I didn't learn the now what part in art school. There weren't business classes, and I didn't learn anything about how to market myself as an artist or how to sell anything. Nor did I learn anything at all about what to do next to be a successful artist. So if I could go back and do it all over again, I think I would have taken some business classes somewhere. I'm going to use that same napkin now to go over some of these darker shadows that I've put down on my drawing. I just keep working this water that I'm drawing by putting darker shadows for waves and using that kneaded eraser to lift up some of it and make highlights. So anyway, if you've ever considered going to art college, there is some free advice for you that you didn't even ask for. You're welcome. The best thing, again, that I ever learned in art school was that I am not the best artist, but I don't have to be. And the worst thing about it, I think, again, was that I did not learn how to market myself. I learned how to be a good artist, but I didn't know what to do with it next. So that is the thing that I always tell people about art college. You know, as I look at this drawing in general, I might have made a mistake here, but I'm not worried about that. I don't want to call it a mistake. What I might have done differently is I could have made the waves in this water smaller as they got further away from us and bigger as they were closer. And I don't know if I did a very good job at that. If I did it all over again, I think I would try to concentrate more on making little smaller waves that are further away and bigger as they get closer to us in the drawing. But I think it's okay. It's a good thing because I learned something from it. And so the next time I draw this, the next time I draw any big body of water, I'll think about that, and that's how my drawing will get better as we go. So I've just had a learning experience, I think, and you got to be here and listen to my learning experience as I go. You know, sometimes the point to sketching is not to create a really good drawing. That may be a surprise to you. That's not the point of it at all. The point to sketching is to enjoy what you're doing. It's to relax and just love the process, love what you're doing, whatever it is. You know, when a child is playing with his or her toys, he or she has no goals at all. The goal to playing is to play. The point of playing is playing. It is its own reward, and sketching is its own reward too. It should be the exact same thing with sketching. The point of sketching is sketching, and we do it because we love to do it. So here on the ship as we go, again, I didn't draw any straight lines, but I think that it's working out pretty well. I mean, I could certainly take some kind of a template or whatever and make these lines look much better, but again, it's just a sketch. It's not supposed to be a perfect finished drawing. It's just a sketch that I had fun with, and even though there aren't really any straight lines in here and a ship is made up of lots of straight lines, I think it's okay. I think it turned out pretty well. You can clearly see that that's a sketch, and you can see the people in the foreground, and they're waving, and I've got some birds in there that turned out, I think, fairly well. So that's the way that we do it. So there you go. That is how I would make a sketch of a ship sailing out to sea. I'm limited on time with you, but as I mentioned, I might later go back in and carefully draw some more details. You can do that as much or as little as you like. It's your drawing and you get to decide. That's part of why I love drawing so much. The worlds you are creating are completely yours and you get to decide how you want them. You can do anything you want because you are an artist. See you soon.